Alright, this is a review of Schumacher's SP3. It's a battery charger and maintainer. I've owned this product for about 2 years now, so I'm finally getting around to doing a review on it. And quite honestly, it's become one of my favorite battery maintainers, so I'm going to take you through it and discuss all the reasons you should really consider purchasing this particular maintainer. So, first of all, what's nice about it is it's very small, it's compact, it's lightweight. It's got this little hook on the back, which if you own a motorcycle, or sometimes even you can hang this from the rear view mirror in your car, you can set this up on the inside to do some maintaining through your through the 12 volt power accessory, which is actually what I'm using to maintain my Lincoln right now. So what's nice about it, it's 3 amp, which is pretty good output. I like that. It's really simple and easy to use. It's fully automatic. It does 12 and 6 volt. For me, I don't really have anything 6 volt, so that doesn't really matter to me, but it's nice to know, like, maybe you own lawn equipment and you want to maintain the batteries, to be a good choice for that. One of the best parts about this SP3 is the connections. You know, you get your alligator clamps. You're getting the 12 volt accessory, which I really like having these. Come in very handy. And then, you know, for a motorcycle, or even, you know, maybe you've got a project car or something, you could always rewire these with larger ring terminals and get it wired onto the battery. But this is really nice for motorcycles or snowmobiles. And, you know, it's kind of got like a weather cap on it too. Now, like, the older versions didn't really have a cap, so this is nice, keeps it clean. And it's fused, which is kind of a lot of no-cos products are kind of going that way. It's got a 7.5 amp fuse in there. So I don't know how important the fusing is, but it's kind of a nice option to have that. So yeah, there's the box. I have an unboxing video if you want to get a better look at the box, so that's kind of irrelevant. Alright, I'm going to hook it up to this battery and show you how this thing works. Alright, so I'm getting ready to hook it up. It is a smart charger. It does have auto voltage detection. So quite honestly, like, you can plug it in and touch these together and it's not going to do anything. You could technically hook it up, you know, either way you want. I mean, I'm kind of old school. I kind of prefer that no matter what kind of charger you're using, to hook it up as if it was a manual charger, just to be a little on the safe side. And like with this charger, I could literally plug this thing in and then make the connections. Now, me personally, I don't like doing that, just kind of going back to trying to stay safe with this stuff. But it's not necessary, but that's kind of how I do it. So just so you know, I mean, it is a very safe item. Like, and I'll show you. I can just plug it in right now. It's going to power up the unit. So right now it's not really doing anything. So, not sparking, super safe. Now when I make the connection, it's automatically starting. It's going to analyze and then just automatically start charging. And what's nice is it actually shows you the percentage of charge. So with this battery, it says it's already 95% charged. So at this point in time, I can just leave this thing on here, and it's just going to automatically, it's going to get it fully charged, and then it's going to go into maintenance mode, which is fully automatic. You don't have to do anything. It just keeps the battery at a full charge. So like I said, I'll even we'll take this out to the garage and I'll show you how I use this on my Lincoln. But this is what I really like about this, and this is where you know, getting into some of the no-code chargers, this is actually an option to get a plug like this. So you have to pay more money to get this 12 volt plug. So I don't know, that's what I like about Schumacher. It's like, this thing is pretty much ready to go out of the box, and this is a great charger for pretty much any application. I mean, if you have a motorcycle, it's great. I actually used this maintainer on my brother's FZ6 for a while before I decided to hijack it and put it on my Lincoln. But you know, it'll work on bikes, works on cars. This will be absolutely perfect for a diesel application. You know, you got that 3 amps. You know, a lot of your battery maintainers are somewhere in the 1.5 amp output. So you figure if you got dual batteries, you know, that's kind of like 1.5 and 1.5 for each battery. You got your total of 3 amps. That's great. So I feel like this is actually a really great model for a diesel. And then, you know, you have that versatility. You know, most of these diesel trucks have the 12 volt accessory. So you don't even have to put this thing under the hood. You don't even have to pop the hood. Just run an extension cord out to your car, hang this thing from the rear view mirror, plug it into the 12 volt accessory outlet, and you're pretty much good to go. So right now it's kind of gone dormant. The display's gone dormant. And you see that the light is a solid green, which does mean it's charging. So the other thing is, once this thing enters maintenance mode, that light's going to begin to flash. And you know, if you were to sit here and watch this thing for a while, you'll see it go dormant. You'll see it kind of fade in and out on that light. You know, it's going to pulse. That is signaling that it's maintaining. And like when I had this on my brother's bike, I'd catch it sometimes fire up and start charging. You'll see the light come on, and sometimes it'll even scroll the display saying that it's charging again. So yeah, this is a really nice unit, and let's take this thing out to the garage and I'll show you what's going on with this on the Lincoln. Alright, so before I show you this charger on the Lincoln, I thought I'd just hook it up to the Mustang. So I got it hanging off the hook there, and I'm going to plug it in. I got the cables just kind of sitting there. So once again, it's really safe. Nothing's going to spark. So there you go. This automatically starts charging, gives you a percentage of battery charge in real time. And I can just let this sit here. Alright, now so moving over to the Lincoln, last night I popped the hood so I could show you this, because if I open the doors right now it's going to trigger the interior lights and it's going to kind of ruin my reading. But yesterday I drove the car. Probably haven't driven it for like about 24 hours. So just checking the open circuit voltage, we're at 1237. So, and they say that usually a battery sulfates at about 1240. That's about 20 degrees in this garage right now. So just sitting overnight, we're below 1240. So, you know, keep that in mind. Like, that's how important this is. I mean, honestly, battery maintainers are important for daily drivers, and especially once you get into the colder weather, and especially if you have a diesel. I mean, if you have a diesel, it's pretty much mandatory. If you have a daily driver and you start using this, you're probably going to be pretty impressed with how much better the car is going to start. Not to mention, it's just going to significantly increase your battery life. So for the cost of this maintainer versus the cost of buying a new battery, I mean, in my opinion, I've seen batteries last, you know, 2 to 3 times longer if they're maintained properly, using the battery maintainer and then keeping them clean and checking the water on them and all that. So I mean, stop and think about that. If you're going to spend $100 on a battery, I mean, if you save 2 life cycles of that battery, you saved yourself $200. So I'm going to show you how I hook this thing up. Technically, you can hook it up under here. You know, if you can find 12 volts. I actually used to do that. I actually used to take a pair of needle nose vice grips and clip them into there and then just ground it to the strut mount. But it's a lot easier to just do it with that 12 volt power accessory, so I'm going to show that to you right now. Alright, so I've hooked it up inside the car. Got my 12 volt power outlet. It's right next to the cigarette lighter. So, I mean, if you wanted, you could keep this in the car. You could hang it from the rear view mirror with a hook on the back. I'm just going to take it outside of the vehicle. Don't be afraid to shut the door. I mean, you've got a rubber gasket. It's not going to hurt anything. So, kind of going back to what I mentioned about opening the door. So now we're down to 1192. Got the courtesy lights under the mirror, so now the lights went off. You're gonna see the voltage is gonna come back up. You know, this is another reason it's kind of hard to diagnose batteries, because depending on how long it's been since there's been a load on the battery can make your readings kind of inaccurate. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in. Okay, the charger just triggered on, and as you can see, it's starting to climb up. There you go, 78%. So basically what I'll do, you know, when I come home for the day, I'll set this charger up, I'll shut the door, I'll let the courtesy lights turn off so there's no load on the battery, and then I'll plug that charger in and just let it sit overnight. So then when I get up the next morning and go to leave the house, I'll come in here, I'll unplug that charger from the wall, disconnect it from the car, and just be on my way. So that way I've got a, you know, fully charged battery. And that's going to really help out, you know, when you go to work and you're parking your car out in the cold. At least you know when you get to your destination, you've got a fully charged battery. The other thing, especially with this vehicle, you know, there's a lot of electronics in this car, and especially like the heated seats and the defrost and all that, all those accessories draw a lot of power. So I personally want to have a fully charged battery when I go to activate any of those accessories. And furthermore, it's going to take a lot of stress off of your alternator. You know, you're starting that car with a fully charged battery, the alternator's barely got to do anything to keep that battery charged. Whereas if you would let it sit for a couple days, you start it up, that alternator is going to 100% output trying to bring that battery up. And now you're pulling out, you're turning on the defrost, you're firing up the heated seats, so the alternator's fighting to charge that battery and power all those accessories. So not only is it going to increase the life of your battery, it's also going to make your alternator's life that much easier. So when you think about that too, think about the cost of an alternator. You know, you think about the cost of an alternator and a couple batteries, you know, you're well over $300 there. Alright, so you can see it's already almost up to 13. And I'm actually going to take it off here and I'm going to show you on my brother's FZ6. Alright, so here's my brother's FZ6. He's got the eye loops direct to the battery, which is the third connection option. Right now I've got it on this Schumacher maintainer. But one of the other things that's really cool about getting a Schumacher product is they're interchangeable. So I can disconnect from this maintainer and directly hook up to this SP3. Now, on a NOCO, if we had put the NOCO leads on here, NOCO has its own special connection, so I cannot hook this up to any other charger besides a NOCO. So, I mean, for some people that's irrelevant, but for me, I want to have the interchangeability, so I think that's actually a really nice benefit going with Schumacher. So I'm going to disconnect that 1.5. So now I got the SP3 hooked up. Plug it in. Hear it click. and it's charging. So same thing, 95%. It's going to bring this battery up to a full charge, and it's going to float out. So I know that this battery is properly maintained, and you know, next time you take this thing out to go for a ride, that battery is fully charged. It's kind of the same thing with these bikes too, you know, keep that in mind. If you've got a discharged battery and you start this bike, that stator is going to full output trying to recharge the battery in the bike. So it's kind of the same thing, kind of the same situation that you have with your car. You know, you're going to start this bike, and especially this bike's electronic fuel injection, it needs more power. It's drawing more power to run the computer and all the electronics in this bike. So it's just something to keep in mind. And like I said, same thing with the bike. It's going to make that battery last longer, and it's going to increase the life of the entire charging system on the bike. You know, my R6, it's a 2000. I just recently, last year, put a new battery in this bike. That battery was literally 10 years old. So I got 10 years out of that battery. And I always kept it on this maintainer. And I mean, that's an old model, so kind of proves my point. And I've never had any charging issues with this bike as far as like the stator going out or anything of that nature. So yeah, I hope this video has given you a thorough understanding of what this product can do for you. And like I said, going back to the diesel guys, like, you should really seriously consider this. It's really nice with that 12-volt accessory. You know, you could just, if you don't want to deal with opening the hood, or maybe you've got a wife or a girlfriend, you know, it's easy enough to teach them how to plug that into the 12-volt socket and then just plug in an extension cord. Super easy, doesn't take very much time, and it's really going to reduce the chance of you getting stranded somewhere. You know, it's going to increase your battery life, it's going to increase the life of your charging system, and if you don't get stranded somewhere, then it's worth every penny, in my opinion. So yeah, Schumacher SP3, check it out.